People Station V103, the ATL's number one for hip-hop and R&B. Stacy Abrams has won the Democratic primary in Georgia for governor and has made history in the process. The former state house leader now becomes the first black woman to win a major party nomination for governor in the United States. She also becomes the first black nominee for governor in Georgia by beating out legislator Stacy Abrams, setting the stage for a very high-profile general election. What is going to happen? People in Georgia are saying, well, can we have a black governor? And can we have a female black governor, especially with areas in the Deep South bringing in so many votes? Stacy Abrams is on with Frank and Wanda. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Job well done. Have you been to sleep yet?
We had a few hours. I slept, I think, about 3 hours.
About 3 hours so far. Well, you've been doing the news circuit, and we thank you for stopping by.
Absolutely.
Frank and Wanda here on V103. Last night, when the numbers started coming, they were huge. I mean, your margin of vote was incredible. They're saying that you had 76% of the vote. What was your first thought?
Well, look, I first want to congratulate Stacy Abrams and her supporters for running a very spirited campaign. But we know that our model works. We went across the state for 11 months. We went to communities and areas that no one has been to in decades. And we talked about issues. We had very bold and detailed plans, talking about how we could move the lives of Georgians forward, how we can help with access to public education, making certain people have health care, thinking about and talking about infrastructure and public transit outside of Atlanta as well as inside the city. And so we're very excited that our message and our model makes sense and that people really believed and they invested.
Maria Boyton is here with us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How do you plan to keep this momentum going? So much support for you last night. You've got the Republicans coming on your hind tail there. How do you plan to keep the momentum going? And you've got to build it. How do you plan to do that?
That's been our point from the very beginning. We have to build the coalition we want in Georgia. Georgia Democrats have talked about a base. A base assumes that you have something to count on. And I believe that we have to do the work of investing in voters so that they know their voices matter. The way we do that is what we've been doing for the last 11 months. We knock on every door. We make phone calls to every person. We don't take anything for granted, but we also give them some bold and detailed plans that say, here's how you can have the freedom and opportunity to thrive. If we want people to vote, they need to have something to vote for, not just something to vote against. And our campaign is grounded in having real conversations, talking about how we can help them make their lives better and how we as Georgians can come together to lift our state.
You know, you have as Maria was saying, they're going to be coming for you. But even on the Republican side, you have, two different people. One or both you've known for quite a long time. If Casey Cagle wins the nomination, what will be your strategy?
My strategy does not depend on either Republican opponent. I'm not running against Republicans. I'm running for Georgians. And I'm running to build a Democratic coalition with independent thinkers who want to come on board, where we talk about ways we move the state forward. I think our challenge is to stop getting distracted by what the other guys are saying and focus on what people need. What they need is health care. That's why we're going to expand Medicaid. What they need is to make certain their families are protected and are safe. That's why we talk about expanding criminal justice reform, about transitioning ex-offenders. We need to talk about our children, investing in public education and restoring the $9 billion that have been cut over the last 16 years. I don't care who the Republican is. I care who the voters are. And our mission is to make certain every one of those voters hears our message and knows that we're in this together.
This is going to be an election, as they're saying, it's going to be heated because this is going to be an election that really says pro-Trump, non-pro-Trump. Let's keep it real. Brian Kemp has run on the fact of gun control, being non-apologetic, being one of the closest people that remind me of Donald Trump, and he does not care. So he's going to come for you. But in that sense, with the gun control, where's your stance?
I am proud to have only ever received D's and F's from the NRA, the only bad grades my parents have ever been proud of. I know how to use a gun. I learned how to shoot when I was younger. But I also know that the first thing you learn when you hold a firearm is your sense of responsibility and your obligation for everyone else's safety. And that's why I don't see any contradiction in believing that we have to ban assault weapons, that we have to have a universal background check, that we need 3-day waiting periods, that we have to ban bump stocks, but that we also have to make certain that predators don't have access to those weapons. I know that we've got a lot of work to do, but I know that we can talk about those issues and trust our voters, because we have to trust every Georgian to believe in their possibility.
Sophia?
Yeah, I just want to say, I know that you haven't been talking about, you're making history as the first African-American woman to be on the major ticket for a governor of any state here in the United States. And we had our first woman to run for president on a major ticket, and the results were not what we expected. What could you tell us to do, or what advice would you give us so we don't have the same results that we had when it came to the president election?
Vote. We lose when we don't lift our voices up. We do not win when we decide that our voices don't matter. My campaign, my entire career has been grounded in making certain that people understand that their voices matter, that their power matters. I come from a family that fought for civil rights. My parents were civil rights activists as teenagers because they understood how vital the vote was. I believe it too. That's why I led the New Georgia Project to register more than 200,000 voters. We have to win by casting our ballots and saying these are our values, these are our issues, and that Stacy Abrams is the person to lead our state.
Casey Cagle put out a book before he decided to run for governor that some people thought was controversial, Unleashing Education. He is probably going to use that platform on education. What is your stance on fixing what's going on in the disparity of education in Georgia? You have so many counties where the rich side of the county, the schools are great. The poor side of the counties, they're closing down. All the stuff that's been going on here in Atlanta is proof of that. What is your plan for education in Georgia?
For 16 years, Republicans stripped money from our public education system. They pushed plans that would have allowed our public schools to be auctioned off. I give very good credit to this year having Governor Deal finally fully restore quality basic education, but that's just the beginning. We have to fully invest in public education. I do not believe in the diversion of our public funds for private interests. I do not believe in the diversion of $100 million to private schools when those dollars should be lifting up our educators. And so I'm going to fight to invest in public schools. But more than that, I'm going to work to make certain that every public school knows they're valued in the state of Georgia from cradle to career, because we've got to start thinking about our children from the moment they get here. I do not intend to run the same old playbook where we pretend that we want something but don't talk about it. I'm going to spend the next 6 months talking about the issues and talking about the real plans for how we solve these problems. And what I'm going to ask every voter to think about is this. When you listen to us, listen not just to what we say we want to do, read about how we're going to do it. Think about how we're going to pay for it. Make certain that we are having real conversations. If you want the difference between rhetoric and policy, look at what people do, not what they say.
Stacy Abrams is our special guest. We just want to thank you for taking time out of your very busy cycle to stop by V103.
It means the world to me to be here, and I thank you all so much. And just make certain, everybody listening, that you have 6 months to not only get your voice together, but get all the voices of all those that you care about so we can win the state.
All right, let's win this state.
How many hours of sleep have you had?
3.
Now, if she could do all this off 3 hours of sleep, I know we're going to go and vote for it in November.
People Station V103.